Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Budget Tech, a show brought to you by Budget Gamers for Budget Gamers. As you can see, the camera's in a bit different angle. I wanted to show you guys something very interesting, something that happened to me on a recent budget build. I cannot explain it. Normally I've got a fix for everything. However, doesn't matter what I do to this problem, I cannot fix it. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss this. So this budget rig will be an upcoming video on the specs and performance of that. But that's not why I'm here. This is not what this video is about. This video is about the oddest thing you'll probably see in your entire life. I promise you that. You'll have your mind blown. Now, what I have here is a gaming computer. This is actually my brother-in-law's computer. You might recognize this from a previous video. I actually went to borrow it to test this budget PC and to see what's wrong with it. Now, if I switch it on, if I switch this computer on, you'll find everything boots as normal. I'll show you the screen just now. That's sort of why I chose this angle, so I can turn the screen and just show you guys. As the space behind me is very limited, I don't have one of those 360 degrees cameras. I don't have a cameraman. I'm sort of the cameraman, editor, the guy that cleans the floors, the guy that cleans the windows. You know, I'm like the jack of all trades in this scenario. So I'm going to show you what this computer does. So with this graphics card I've installed into this computer, it runs super smooth. I can do, basically, I can stream, I can run games. I mean, anything you would expect your graphics card to do properly, I can do. This is a GTX 980, and yes, the power draw is a lot, right? And the reason why I say power draw is a lot, I'll get back to that just now. So the program I'll be using just as a quick test is called User Benchmark. I've been using this for a few years. It's quick, it's fast, it gives you the results you want. And you'll see now why I'm using this benchmark, because I don't want to waste my viewers' time on 3D Mark. So let's just run through this test and you'll see, just as a benchmark, that everything runs fine. Okay, this part is very important. This is the GTX 980 doing the graphics cards test. Now, I emphasize on that because you guys will see in a moment what I'm experiencing. And I'll sort of explain to you why this problem is probably not solvable in an easy manner. It's not explainable, or at least to my knowledge. And I've been around the block for a very long time. So if you can explain it, please do so. I'm open for any solution on how to solve this problem. Okay, there we go. Benchmark passed. I'm just going to quickly swap the graphics cards and I shall see you guys within a minute. Now see what it does in this rig. It is very, very odd. I've never seen anything like this, as I've mentioned, right? I'm just waiting for the PC to boot. Shouldn't take long. It's got a high-speed SSD. As you can see, the screen is booting up correctly, right? It just needs to install the driver. Use a benchmark, as I did on the previous rig. Just watch this closely. I cannot explain what is going on. I will show you afterwards as well how I got to rectify this, but it's not a proper solution. Now watch closely as it's going to do the graphics card benchmark. Just watch it. And you guys tell me what you think is wrong. I will tell you everything I did and checked. And I can prove to you that there is a workaround for this. However, it's not a workaround as what you might think it is. And there we go. As soon as it launches the benchmark, it's just dead. It reboots, it switches on, and then it carries on like nothing happened. It's very bizarre. I cannot explain what is going on. You might say, well, BT, this is your Fong connection you've got on going on here. You've got two Molex feeding into a 6-pin. You've got a 6-pin PCI Express feeding into an 8-pin. No, I've tried an external power supply. Does the same. You might think to yourself, it might be a PCI Express 1 or 2 slot that it only supports 35 to 50 watts. No, this is a PCI Express 3 slot. It supports 75 watts. Now, if you take the 6-pin, the 8-pin, and the motherboard connection, you're looking at roughly 350 watts of peak power here. That benchmark I just ran will not even touch this 980. It might draw maximum 200 watts of power. That being said, like I've mentioned, I've used the external power supply. You might even say it's RAM. I changed the RAM. You can even go as far as checking all the capacitors. I checked every single capacitor. Now, because the motherboard is working, I do not want to desolder capacitors and VRMs. I just don't want to do that. So I'm leaving everything as is because the motherboard is functioning. Now you might tell yourself, well, it's not working because you can't play games. Here is what is mind-blowing. So I'm going to put back the GTX 1060. I'll rerun this test and you see what happens. Okay, so we're back. Just turn the screen like that. Now, just to recap, we did a GTX 980 in my brother-in-law's PC. Ran smooth. Took that same card, I put it into this rig. It shuts down the moment I do a benchmark, right? Installed a new power supply, or at least to feed the graphics card externally with a different power supply. It was a 700 watt. It supported 2 8-pins. I only had to convert my one 8-pin to a 6-pin, right? That didn't work. I put in different RAM. That didn't work. I reseated the graphics card. Didn't work. I checked all my capacitors. Everything looked normal up until the point where I didn't want to replace anything on the board because the board is actually working. And by working, I mean it's actually freaking working. So I didn't want to risk breaking it, trying to fix something that's not really broken. So now I've got the beautiful GTX 1060 in. I'm going to rerun this benchmark. It's just, I can't make the GTX 980 work in this. The GTX 980 works in my computer. It works in my wife's computer. It just works everywhere. It does not want to function in this PC. I do not know what is going on. So yes, the way to solve this is to replace the motherboard. I can promise you that will solve your problem. Maybe put a above spec gaming motherboard in here. It will work, but why? I do not know. I cannot explain this. Now with the GTX 1060, like I've mentioned, it just runs beautifully. And I mean, if you're looking at power draw, they're about 70 to 80 watts difference, which is quite a lot on a graphics card, I must admit. But when you consider that I've installed the external power supply just to feed the graphics card, it can't be the power supply. There's no way. It's somewhere between the graphics card communication, between your north and your south bridge. That's all. It might be a bit that is not communicating from the RAM to the CPU. I cannot explain. But yeah, there you go, guys. There you go. It's working with the GTX 1060. Now you guys explain to me why the 980 doesn't work in that computer, but the 1060 does. It just blows my mind. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you soon.